As a Pokemon collector, you're a Beanie Baby collector. I wanted to make this video about what everybody is doing buying Pokemon cards. What are you spending your money on? Why is there adult money in Pokemon? Best way I could reason all of this is to sort of look at Pokemon and the different people who are involved in the hobby. There are, people like the casual, the flipper, the scalper, the player, the collector, and the investor. I won't speak much about the casual buyer of Pokemon. This is the person who just sort of buys something that they see in Walmart. It sounds cool. They give it as a gift. Casual purchasers aren't as common the last couple of years because really Walmarts and Targets have been wastelands. And I think casuals have always been a big part of the hobby, and they're probably going to start to be more of a factor again. You're going to have more casual buyers, and they will be part of the hobby again. And casual purchases like that, that deck that's bought as a gift because it's only $9.99, that's the sort of thing that can get younger generations interested in Pokemon. So that's one type of person that's involved in the hobby. Another type is the scalper. Now, I used to think scalping was a really bad thing. And one of the reasons I started my store is because of scalping. I would go to Walmart and Target and nothing would be available. Everything at the different stores would be way overpriced, and why did I have to pay over MSRP for a ETB? So scalper I thought was a really bad thing, and I used to think it was someone who was taking something away from the hands of someone who really wanted it. Well, you start to realize as you're in the hobby longer that scalping is sort of a bellwether for the overall success of Pokemon. If people aren't scalping, what that really means is Pokemon might be doing something wrong. Pokemon is not meant to be a hobby where everyone can get everything they want. It's meant for people to pine over things that they want. The whole art of collecting is to achieve in some acquisition. When people are flipping and scalping, I would say Pokemon is pretty happy. And I guarantee when Pokemon fans, oh no, the scalper, they're secretly studying how to get just the right level of scalping going on with their product. Because Pokemon, I would say, they want people to have that feeling of first or miss out. FOMO. I think Pokemon wants people to have that as a collector. And I'll explain in a second why I think Pokemon wants things scalped. The other type of person involved in the hobby is the player. The player is really easy to describe in terms of their role in the hobby. Players are this nebulous, feel-good reason why the entire Pokemon TCG collecting hobby exists. I mean, players, really, they're seeking a social aspect to the game. I mean, most players, they want entertainment. They want to go do something. They want to go play. A lot of players don't even do a whole lot of the collecting thing. They get the joy out of the strategy, the interactions with other players, the changing of the game over time, the adjustments, the strategy side. These are people who are playing the game. These are probably people who are, loving board games as well. They are a powerful part of the hobby, but they probably don't dump big money into it. They're sort of like the base reason why the Pokemon TCG company exists and is so successful, but they're not the biggest reason. Now, players are like the meat and potato. They're like the plate of a meat and potatoes dinner. I mean, they're necessary. They add utility to the cards. They make sure that we don't feel like we're just collecting Beanie Babies. They make the whole thing possible. And they're always around, no matter how juicy the steak or how buttery the potatoes. But And they're a staple of the industry, but they don't drive a huge amount of money into the Pokemon TCG. That is where collectors come in. I mean, players, they do buy playables, that can make a product valuable through its utility in the game. They generally need multiples of a card, but it's usually not a super rare card. It's like an uncommon or a rare. Players are absolutely foundational to Pokemon, but I don't think they make or break the company's bottom line. They give it a reason to succeed, a reason to exist, but the success actually comes from the collectors. Now, the collector archetype is an interesting one. The mind of a collector, the drive of a collector, is really the exclusivity of a person's collection. And I'll say exclusivity, I mean, it's pretty key to why the whole industry exists. People want what they don't have. They want what they cannot get. I think a collector gets joy out of having something that not everyone has. Collecting gives you a feel of accomplishment that's really hard to get in other hobbies, other things that you do. Collectors, that's why there's so much money in Pokemon. Collecting is not about just getting the cards because they're scarce. The reason Pokemon collecting is so big, the reason people collect vintage, the reason people collect modern, it's because deep down, they are influenced by the decisions made by the Pokemon Company. The Pokemon Company is really good at manipulating the secondary market. They use artificial scarcity to drive demand to their products. Another tool that they use is exclusivity. I'm convinced that they constantly, silently manipulate the secondary market. The things they do, the things that they've done, is really what drives passion and money into the hobby. So if you're a collector, I mean, I'm a collector, I am manipulated by the Pokemon Company International. Their whole manipulation is to drive demand back into their newly minted products. Now, a collector wants what they don't have. They pine over things that are hard to get, and they celebrate what they get, what they achieve. They have, a binder that they'll look at. They'll have a display that they'll have. Pokemon also is constantly lighting flames around products, the Felt Hat Pikachu, that just absolutely drives FOMO. First or miss out. The truth is about the Felt Hat Pikachu, if you weren't first, you did miss out. So Pokemon wants the collector to believe, and people push back on this, but they do. They want the collector to believe that you will miss out. Pokemon wants cards. They want their products to have value in the secondary market. And there's a key reason to this. If your old cards, which are no longer playable, they're no longer cool, have value, so will your new cards. Collectors want what they don't have, and Pokemon uses that to create demand across the entire market. Now, as collectors, investors, relatively new to the hobby, I think. Now, for the longest time, people thought, investors, they're ruining the hobby. I postulate that they're not, and they're probably going to allow the hobby to continually get bigger and bigger. The reason for this is people thought investors, those people who put away sealed product in their closet, were ruining the hobby. They were buying all the product and stashing it away. I postulate that they're not. They're going to allow the Pokemon collecting hobby to grow over time. They're going to allow a small supply of products to enter the market over time. Things are not going to get crazy expensive like you saw with base set, but you're going to see that they'll allow the market to get bigger and bigger. The reason is, let's say you're really interested in Sword and Shield. That was your That was when you started collecting. What's going to happen with all those people with closets full of Sword and Shield product? It's not going to be double or triple or quadruple, 10 times their value, but the demand for that is going to be there. And if Pokemon was to release that product at some point in the future, let's say a reprint of Evolving Skies, it's going to crash the market, the price is going to come down, people will not be confident to buy new products because Pokemon is just going to reprint it. But investors with their closets full of Evolving Skies, they're going to slowly introduce at a very high expensive rate product into the market. So you're going to see the people who missed out, the people who, FOMO hit them and they didn't have money, they're going to have money down the road. They're going to get adult money. They were 20 years old and had car bills and they couldn't buy that Evolving Skies. But, when they're 40 and they're pining over, some alt arts, they might spend $1,000 on that Evolving Skies booster box. Splurge. People splurge. And so it's entertainment. And the investor is relying on the increase of value over time. And they're providing a really key part to the overall market, is allowing supply to be introduced to the market without Pokemon doing it. The reason Pokemon cannot do it, because if Pokemon was to do it, confidence would be lost in the current products. No one would buy the current products because they're just going to print them down the line. That's why investor is becoming really critical to the overall Pokemon hobby. Now, yeah, sure, if you're just buying and selling later, it's investor, speculator, but it's the concept of people hoarding. I think that might play a factor in the long-term growth of the hobby. It allows things to build and get bigger, and down the road more money enter the market. Now, it's interesting. It's an interesting facet of the Pokemon market, and I think the Pokemon company is only now starting to try to figure out what to do with the investor community, what to do with people buying for long term. I think it's going to be okay. So investing in Pokemon is weird because you're buying something that it's no longer playable. It's not worth the value of cards that might be in there. It's a very weird thing. A set gets old, players stop being a factor in the product value. The collector is there, but there's lots of singles on the market for that set. People coming and going. There's singles. So who's going to buy this? Who's going to buy all this product? I think you're going to see people who buy, I think investors are going to sell to people who missed out, people who didn't have the big money at the time to buy Evolving Skies or to buy Silver Tempest or to buy Vivid Voltage, Pikachu lovers. Investing in cards, investing in sealed, I think they're kind of different, but for the sake of this conversation, I'll lump them together. So when you're an investor, what you're really saying is, I trust the Pokemon Company International. I trust that Pokemon is going to continue to navigate the supply and demand of product. They're going to make sure that demand always exceeds supply. Now that's an important thing. There's people who I wish there was no people who are buying and making all these cards expensive. I wish I could get all these cards. Really, they're kind of naive. They think that would be a great way for collecting. That would be great for you as a collector, but it would not be great for the overall market, for the community. So, Pokemon, the investors want Pokemon to always make sure that demand exceeds supply. Because there is a point where if you have too much supply, demand will drop off. And that swings us back to the word exclusivity. If everyone can get everything, no one will want and it's true. Pokemon is definitely studying all this data constantly. I mean, even now, I'm getting smaller allocations to Scarlet and Violet than I did for Sword and Shield. Why? Well, shouldn't I be getting more? People are buying it. Shouldn't I be getting more? Well, Pokemon is constantly adjusting, changing, and trying to make sure that they always have more demand than supply. They always want the secondary market to exist. As an investor, you're betting on the people who did miss out come back in the hobby with adult money. They want to experience the older sets. Investing isn't even about getting the expensive cards in the set. It's about experiencing the opening. I mean, there's a gamble side opening product. Everyone knows that. I think the bigger factor that's gonna why things will be investable is because I didn't get to enjoy that as a kid, or I didn't get to enjoy that card the set when it came out. And I think this is what's going to continue to drive value into older sets. People with adult money will want to spend their entertainment dollars on something they know or something they missed out on. They will finally get to enjoy the luxury, the fun, the excitement that they saw on Pokerev's channel or Unlisted Leaf's channel. As an investor, you want things to go up in value. Things go up in value because Pokemon is navigating supply and demand. Pokemon knows that if their old products go up in value, and they'll want their old products to go up in value, if their old products go up in value, people are going to buy their new ones. People are going to buy from them. And even the new stuff will be sought after. And it'll be sought after by collectors. And when if old products stop having value, that's when you know something is really wrong and Pokemon made a big mistake. As an investor, you're trusting that Pokemon is going to navigate it. And so far, you've seen other card games, you've seen that Pokemon really does know what they're doing. Pokemon knows that if they oversupply, they're going to kill themselves. I mean, I'm sure they're trying to figure out what to do with investors, how to control it. They probably have data analysts, market analysts. They have rules about the release of certain products, case studies. They impact with their sales. I mean, they probably like sealed investing because they're buying the product from them, and they're probably trying to figure out what's going to happen long term. They'll want those products to go up in value because that's what drives people purchasing new products. There's a huge incentive for Pokemon for the secondary market to be primed. I mean, I highly recommend you watch the Beanie Bubble. It's with Zach Galifianakis. I hope I pronounced that correct. With Geraldine Viswanathan. I hope I pronounced that correct. And there's other characters too. It's a good movie, but these are the two to watch. Now, Zach plays Ty, the Beanie Baby company owner. And Geraldine plays Maya in the film. Now, Ty is the epitome of what Magic the Gathering is currently doing.
Why are there photos and prices of retired Beanie Babies on here? They can't sell these.
These aren't retailers. They're customers, reselling what they've already bought from us. It's an online auction site, a genius idea. Anybody can sell anything they want, but we're the biggest thing on it.
Well, we should sue them then.
Well, no, we should kiss them. Are you seeing what they're doing for us?
Yes, they're making a huge profit on my products, infringing on my trademark name.
No, making everybody greedy for what we sell. Not just as toys, but as investments, as money makers.
And Maya, the character, is the epitome of what Pokemon is doing. And actually in the movie, you gotta watch it, there's a callback to Maya's role in influencing the Pokemon market.
With you. This car would be a big hit.
So these are all Pokemans.
Pokemons.
Pokemon.
What?
Pokemon.
Just Pokemon.
Just Pokemon.
Okay.
Just keep on poking him on.
Watching that movie really put together some of the pieces and some of my thoughts around the whole Pokemon collecting industry and market. And I recommend you watch it. Ty saw the money in the secondary market, much like magic, and decided he was going to meet that demand. He wanted a piece of it. He wanted all of it. He was jealous when he saw cards that, Beanie Babies that he sold going for twice or triple or 10 times their worth. And the problem is, once he was able to create enough supply to meet demand, demand dropped off. Exclusivity was gone. The bubble burst. Pokemon was definitely, or is definitely, always trying to avoid hitting that demand is meeting supply problem. Supply is meeting demand problem. In the movie, he broke the company's demand supply curve. If demand is met in Pokemon, the market will falter. As a Beanie Baby collector, as a Pokemon collector, you shouldn't feel bad that you collect shiny cardboard. I mean, these are luxury products meant for you to be fascinated with. They are meant to give you a dopamine hit. They are meant to be entertainment. When you're investing, when someone's investing or buying, you're being entertained. You're investing in future entertainment. Beanie Babies, they were entertainment. I mean, they were meant to spark joy in kids, but what happened is adults got the same from them. Remind you of something? Back to investing. People who think Pokemon, every Pokemon card should be available to every Pokemon card collector, when they say that, they're speaking from a point of naivety. That would cause Pokemon, the entire market, to fail. If exclusivity was gone, if you could get everything, no one's going to want anything. Unfortunately, that's how the mind of humans work. That's how it works. The Felt Hat Pika is a great example. They cannot let everyone get that Pika card. They need to make things exclusive. Things need to be hard to get. They need this exclusivity, otherwise people won't want them. Money enters the market via these secondary channels too. So a huge chunk of any profit made from a flipper or a reseller from the Felt Hat Pika, that money is not gone to Pokemon. The money is probably going to be spent back in more Pokemon products. That's why the secondary market is important to Pokemon. They want things to have value. This is why the strong secondary market is so important and why Pokemon wants scalping and they want reselling. Because here's how it works. Joe Blow buys 2 deck boxes, pays $60, gets 2 promo codes. He sells one of the Felt Hat promos for $100. Let's say this is, at the start of the phone. $100. Okay, he's made back $40. He has the 2 deck boxes. He has his copy of the Felt Hat Pika. He looks at the deck boxes. He sells both those. Gets $40 each. So he has his own Pikachu card, and he's up $120 because he was lucky. He was first. The money that he gets, he goes on and buys a Paradox Rift booster box. So that's what Pokemon likes. And not every penny is going to go back into Pokemon, but it's like the thing in Pokemon collecting is to be constantly selling. And what you're doing is you're supporting your own collection by selling in the secondary market. The secondary market gives you enough money so you can get more Pokemon cards. That's what Pokemon wants. A strong secondary market drives new sales into their new products. That is why they have such an incentive to navigate the supply and demand of Pokemon cards. It's a fascinating thing because investing comes in, because collecting comes in, the FOMO feel comes in, the exclusivity comes in, all driving to Pokemon wanting that feeling, that excitement to continue to exist with the collector, to continue to exist with a person who's going to spend their entertainment dollars on this instead of that. And the one thing that I don't really like, sometimes you see people grumpy about investors, grumpy about resellers, grumpy about people doing it as a side hustle for money. Those are all good indicators that Pokemon is continue to be a strong company. They're all good indicators that Pokemon is not going to screw over the collectors. I mean, those Beanie Baby collectors, they felt screwed, didn't they? Pokemon not going to screw us over. They're going to have our stuff, and it's going to have value to us, to other collectors. That's what investing in Pokemon feels like, is confidence that they're not going to ruin everything. They're not going to wipe away all value. And I'm sure there's lots of people who say, oh boy, if I don't care what my cards are worth. Well, if you don't care what your cards are worth, I mean, why are you not collecting commons and uncommons? Why are you interested in the Felt Pika? The reason we're interested in them is because they give us a feeling of accomplishment. And money, value, trade value, exclusivity, that's the feeling of accomplishment we get from collecting. That's what makes us feel good about collecting. And that's a huge part of why we think, Pokemon is not gonna mess up. I mean, every collector who sells to build up their collection, I mean, it's a good deal for Pokemon. I mean, not every penny goes back into the Pokemon company, but a portion of every secondary market sale does go back into Pokemon. As an investor, you're relying on Pokemon pulling this shit with the Felt Hat Pika. Don't be naive. Pokemon is studying everything. They didn't make a big mistake. They tested the market with the Felt Hat Pika, and they got everyone to FOMO. I mean, it sucks because you missed out on Felt Hat Pika. I missed out on the Felt Hat Pika. It sucks. But, I mean, from a Pokemon perspective, they got all those products sold like that. They minted all that money. Anything from the secondary market, they're probably going to get back in future purchases. Paradox Rift, 151. That's how people in the hobby think, reinvest into their collection. I mean, Pokemon with the Felt Hat Pika, they're essentially printing money. But, as an investor, well, you're relying on Pokemon knowing that they can print money like that and not doing it too much. As an investor, you rely on them knowing that if they print too much, they are going to shoot not only the secondary market, but they're going to shoot themselves in the foot because people aren't going to buy the new products. Magic the Gathering wanted a piece of everything. By eating at their secondary market table, they destabilized their future product. They destabilized their old product. They're relying on players only, and collectors are exiting. And if everyone can get everything, no one wants it. Maybe they printed too much. Maybe they keep reprinting things that should be exclusive. If you're investing in Pokemon, know what you're investing in. You're investing in Pokemon not getting too greedy. You're investing in them not overprinting. You're investing in their ability to incite FOMO, like our lovely Felt Hat Pikachu. You're investing in them continually to use artificial scarcity and breeding exclusivity to keep the collectors interested. You're investing in them for them to keep products, keep them interesting and entertaining. Now, as a collector, you don't need to invest. Even if you really believe in Pokemon and you understand their antics, you understand what they're doing, investing in sealed product is still really risky. They could screw up. Magic is screwing up. I would continue to recommend people collect for entertainment, but do all the boring stuff. If you're doing investing, do all the boring stuff first. the 401k, the RSP, the TSFA, the IRA. Do that stuff first. And if you have money left over and you're entertained by keeping stuff sealed, and you can keep stuff sealed, I kind of recommend do it for fun. Invest for fun, sure. Now, there's other ways to invest in Pokemon. Invest in the company. I mean, if you really want, you could add Nintendo stock to your portfolio. And I mean, I'm bullish on Nintendo for sure. I mean, Nintendo, right? Now, if you want to have fun and buy physical assets, and it'll give you a bit of a collector endorphin burst, buy a Pokemon product, you know. But just avoid putting everything in one basket. I mean, don't put all of your fun money into one company's navigation of scarcity and a secondary market that they try to control and manipulate. But if they did openly, it would cause some disaster. Investing can be fascinating. It can be fun. It can spark joy. You can help other collectors. But it is work. It's not a simple button push. So you need to factor that into the increase in gains a product might have over time. One of the things that I think when I think keeping stuff sealed is we're kind of investing in the fun value. We're keeping something for a long time because down the road, it's going to be cool to open a booster box of Evolving Skies that maybe I only spent $100 on, 150 Canadian. Maybe I only spent that, but in 10 years, ooh, that's going to be $1,000 or more box. It's going to be so fun to open, and because I only spent $150 on it, I'm going to be more likely to enjoy it as entertainment than anything, right? It's going to be, I'm basically investing in my own future fun and entertainment by holding onto the product. So that's another thing you can consider when you're working with sealed product investing. So choosing the right product to invest in, that's a whole different matter. And there's a million YouTubers that tell you that, you know, buy a booster box, buy this, buy that. I might talk about that later and add my little piece, but really I wanted to go deep into the why and the what of investing and not the what product to invest in. So I might do another video about, you know, what a good product to invest in, but everyone does that. I just wanted to talk to you guys about my thoughts on the whole market, and one thing you should know is that Pokemon, they're not a dumb company that's just selling shiny cardboard. They are actively looking at everything. If you like this video, subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Oh, like to.